Hey, now a lot of people, a lot of nurses and first responders and doctors went and volunteered to go and help out in New York, right? Story from Channel 11 News in New York. Health workers that volunteered to come to New York during the pandemic have to pay state income tax.
I love it. New York is so awesome, man.
Healthcare
It's such a
workers
shithole.
that came to New York to help fight the coronavirus pandemic at its epicenter will have to pay state taxes. According to the governor, yesterday he addressed this. He wrote, we're not in the position to provide any subsidies right now because we have a $13 billion deficit. Governor Andrew Cuomo said, so there's a lot of good things I'd like to do, but if we get federal funding, we could do it. But it would be irresponsible for me to sit here looking at a $13 billion deficit and say, I'm going to spend more money when I can't even pay essential services. Now, no one's asking him to pay more money, by the way.
They're asking you to not take money.
From volunteers. Volunteers. And let's read this one more time because I think it's funny to see this. We're not in a position to provide any subsidies right now because we have a $13 billion deficit. So there's a lot of things I'd like to do. And if we get federal funding, then we can do it. Here's the thing, Chris. Right now, the federal government has a multi-trillion-dollar deficit. And sorry, we're not in the position right now to give you this money. I mean, we could barely pay Social Security. He wants the federal government to do, right, what he's unwilling to do, which is give money they don't have.
This is unbelievable.
And the worst part about it is this. Even though the state government asked thousands of people to come to New York from out of state to help fight the coronavirus, they will have to pay New York state taxes even on income they might make from their home state while they live in New York.
This is why that's why everybody's leaving, dude. That's why everybody is leaving.
Cuomo said that he needs help from Washington in order to cover budget deficits from COVID-19, let alone subsidize state income tax for essential workers that flock to New York. If we don't get money from Washington, we can't fund schools right. So at this rate, we want to fund them. We are in dire financial need, he said. How does this dude, the guy who had the most cases of coronavirus, the guy who was the worst prepared governor probably in the fucking country, we can agree with that, right? Probably the worst prepared. How are they touting him as an amazing guy who should be president? Like, everything he's done has been wrong.
Because the news keeps telling them, man, this guy's so presidential.
Our financial comptroller called me and said, Ken Isaac, a vice president of organization, and said, do you know that all of you are going to be liable for New York state income tax? This is one of the Good Samaritans that went and helped out. I said, what? The comptroller said, yeah, there's a law. If you work in New York state for more than 14 days, 2 weeks, you have to pay state income tax. I didn't know that, Isaac told the news. What's even more concerning about the money is, Isaac continued, it's the bureaucracy and paperwork. And I think that once it's unleashed, once you start filling that, you have to do it for like a whole year or something. A top New York City certified public accountant explained the situation further. Entities from these other states will have to register in New York, said Lawrence, a partner at the accounting firm of Spielman, Krogenberg, and Parker, and withholding here in New York. Any out-of-state resident who comes to New York to work on the coronavirus relief is subject to taxes after 14 days. And by the way, you got to understand something here. Some of these people aren't making money from New York. They're volunteering their time. But if you stay in New York for 14 days, you are then liable to pay income tax and state taxes.
New York's a great lesson in what happens when you do shit like this, too. People just end up setting up their residency and doing things so that they never pay you a dime.
Yeah.
That's why so many millionaires basically just go, oh, yeah, we're in Florida.
It is absolutely mind-blowing that they were begging people. They were begging people to go help them in New York. Please, we need it. And then the people go, hey, man, you know what? I'm going to leave my family. A lot of these people, nurses and doctors, left their families back at home and said, I'm going to leave my family. I'm going to go to New York and I'm going to help these poor people. And then they'd say, you got to pay our income tax, though. Hey, sorry, bud. Sorry, bud. Unfucking
It's a shakedown.
believable.
This is why nobody wants to help you.
That's exactly why. And I like how he's trying to push it on Trump. Did you saw that? Like, well, if the federal government helps us, then maybe we could. No. You weren't expecting income from these people to begin with. These are volunteers that showed up. This wasn't something that was going to be on the books if it wasn't for this situation.
Scumbags.
Pieces of shit. And then all the news is covering, and I'm sure you've seen it, is how de Blasio has his entire crew cleaning the subways. Have you seen those videos? Like spraying down the subways. And somebody pointed out, I don't know, maybe if you did it more than once every fucking 300 years.
Well, yeah, I said that at the beginning of the fucking breakout when they were showing footage of that. I'm like, oh, look, they're cleaning off the fucking ticket machines. They should have been doing that shit anyway.